So I know that Minnesota Vikings fans are either pissed off or just bummed or whatever. Vikings losing to the Cowboys, a very bad team, and a game that the Vikings should have and could have won. Several chances at the end, shouldn't have made mistakes in the first half, yada, yada, yada. I get it. Now, it's easy to get jaded, be like, well, this team should have just tanked at 1-5. They shouldn't have traded Yannick if they were really planning on making a run. But I can tell you one thing. So I know that it's in vogue to say tank for this, tank for that, just lose for whatever. Because as we've seen, if you have the number one overall pick, you are guaranteed to win a Super Bowl. A la the Jets, a la the Bengals, a la the Lions, a la the Browns. No. But even though, say the Vikings go 7-9, 8-8, miss the playoffs this year, I know that a lot of the yahoos would be like, what's the point? What's the point of having a mid-round draft pick? It's a waste. Who cares? May as well light that pick on fire. Justin Jefferson was a mid-first round draft pick. It's weird. Garrett Bradbury was a mid-first round too. Yeah, Brian O'Neill was a second round pick. Dalvin Cook was a second-round pick. It doesn't matter where you draft. The higher you draft doesn't guarantee you a better player. Just find value at every single level of the draft. So I digress there. But even if the Vikings do end up with a middling record, you can tell the strides that this team has made after the start that they had at 1-5, especially getting blown out the first 2 weeks against the Packers and the Colts, especially getting embarrassed at home by the then winless Falcons. All of that is going to build upon. And this young team going forward, Vikings still have one of the youngest rosters in the league. Guess what? It's going to pay massive dividends as these young guys learn to play together, they learn to win together, and they're buying in. Because remember, this team had a ton of turnover, and unfortunately not all in defense or Kirk Cousins. Face. But you lose Everson Griffin, you lose Linval Joseph, you lose Xavier Rhodes and Trey Waynes and Mac Alexander. So you just look at leadership. Like, there was a massive power vacuum there for guys to step up. And frankly, maybe some guys weren't used to stepping up. Maybe they were perfectly fine with letting the established leaders like Everson Griffin sort of lead the way. Hey, all right, so he's going to be the rah-rah, sis, boom, bah guy. I'm just going to do my job, do my thing over here, yada, yada, yada. But you see the new guys with the captaincy. You see Harrison Smith. You see Dalvin Cook on the other side. They had to grow into their leadership positions, and now they're doing great. I mean, Harrison Smith, you saw how frustrated Harrison got at times with these young cornerbacks, where obviously him and Xavier Rhodes didn't always see eye to eye, but he could rely on him. He could rely on Trey Waynes. He could rely on Mac Alexander to know his assignment, do his job to the best of his ability. But these young guys, I mean, sure, they're talented. Cameron Dantzler, Jeff Gladney, Chris Boyd, Harrison Hand, etc. Like, they're young and talented, but they don't know their job from Adam. Like, they don't know anything back there. And the lack of OTAs, the lack of rookie camp, the lack of preseason games certainly hurt the Vikings more than it did other teams. So now it did seem like they're getting things together. Some big miscommunications at the end of the Cowboys games. But, I mean, the last 4 weeks, 3-1, defense looking better and better, shutting down Aaron Rodgers to the best that you possibly could. The good game against the Lions, good game against the Bears. Of course, the Bears' garbage offense is garbage. So there you go. But also Dalvin Cook, where it's rare to have a running back be the captain. It is. But Dalvin is a true blue leader of this team. And he's an understated leader where he's kind of a quiet guy, leads by example. When he talks, you definitely listen, and you do love the swagger that he brings, as well as he is a guy that's going to come in, team first, do that work. And also, what stood out to me about Dalvin, obviously all the talent in the world, injury concerns were certainly there, but how he handled his contract situation. He wasn't blabbing to the media. He wasn't negotiating through the media. He wasn't saying he wanted to be traded like Alvin Kamara or Zeke Elliott or some of these other contentious running back contract situations. No. He does like, I'm showing up for work. I'm here for the team. Yeah, maybe my agent spouted off at the mouth, but that wasn't me. Yada, I'm here. Let's work. Let's do that. I think that does reflect well on all the young players around. Especially, this is going to be a building year because guess what? Justin friggin' Jefferson is in the building. Now, Vikings could have potentially had a better record if they played him the first 2 weeks, but whatever. Adam Thielen is showing that 2019, when he had that hamstring injury, not a fluke, beasting with that Riesland 11 touchdowns, off to try and break the Randy Moss single season touchdown record to 17, which would be phenomenal to see. That offensive line is really starting to get together and gel. Dallas game notwithstanding. Sure, Ezra Cleveland, when he doesn't have the ankle, looks like he's going to be a keeper. Garrett Bradbury is developing into one of the best centers in the league. Brian O'Neill is peaks and valleys, fits and starts, but still is starting to establish himself as one of the better young right tackles in the league. Riley Reif is having a career year. And also on the defense, you are missing Daniil friggin' Hunter. You would think that the best defensive end in the game, the best pass rusher, the best against the run, that would be just minor details, right? And maybe it was right or wrong to trade Yannick the freaking Ngakoue, right? He was doing great things here. Wasn't about that running game life, but if the Vikings had no plans to re-sign him long term, I get it. Try to get back as much as possible, 85 cents on the dollar for your draft capital. I get it. As well as remember, well, the Vikings defense is soft in the middle. Why do you think? It's almost like you spent a 3-year, $27 million deal on this 350-pound run-stuffing nose tackle, and then he opted out because of COVID concerns because he has asthma. Respect. But also, imagine him being back in that middle of that defense, and then also the Vikings get some 3-tech going opposite him, just penetrating that B-gap, getting after it. Afadio Denebo, DJ Wanham developing, getting better. Eric Wilson in place of 4-time Pro Bowler and team captain Anthony Barr is stepping up and proving that he does need to be a long-term part of the Vikings' plans, as well as probably should be a Pro Bowler. Eric Kendricks is reestablishing that he's the best off-ball linebacker in the National Football League. Anthony Harrison, Harrison Smith doing things on the back end. Those cornerbacks, minus the Dallas game, are getting better and better and better. Still certainly a work in progress. I fully understand that, but what would be a better alternative? Just to lose every single game, get your brains beat in, maybe you end up with a quarterback, maybe you don't, or all of these young players that we listed, all of them stepping up and getting better every single damn week, getting experience, learning to win together, learning to trust each other, all of that chemistry, all of that getting used to winning, and all of that swagger coming together is going to be huge. Whether it's Kirk Cousins at quarterback for the Vikings or it's rookie TBD, doesn't really matter. Also, so lost in this. Since the bye, Kirk Cousins has been pretty good. So before the bye, 1-5, 10 picks, was absolutely ass atrocious. Kirk Cousins, time to move on. It's done. It's done. Shut the lights off. Move on, right? But now Kirk Cousins, training wheels against Green Bay, as well as against the Lions. But then against the Bears, Kirk Cousins looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Week 10, he certainly did, especially on third down, slicing and dicing up that big bad Bears defense, blah. And then against Dallas, where the Vikings down 16-7 at the half, they could have just cried in the breast milk. They could have just rolled over and died. You've seen them do it time and time again. But respect, Kirk Cousins came out and was like, hey, guess what? We're going to put together a touchdown drive. Then another one. Then another one. Get on my back. Hey, number 8 is here. We're going to distribute. We're going to chuck the ball all around. And guess what? If the Vikings defense had somehow, some way been able to hold the Cowboys on 4th and 6 or down in the red zone, we're talking about a different story here. We're talking about GD Kirk Cousins, gosh darn Kirk Cousins, getting the damn thing done, looking like a elite adjacent type quarterback, and maybe he is the guy that could lead the 5-5 Vikings to the promised land, but it's not, alas. As well as that last drive. Jefferson, come on, man. But I digress there. But the Vikings are what they are. They're 4-6, and looking at the schedule ahead, it's still the same schedule. Games didn't change. You know that schedule when the Vikings were 4-5, and even the most jaded Vikings fans are like, and maybe they can make the playoffs. What has changed? Besides one game, un gameo. So now the Vikings' margin of error had gone from this down to this. So maybe they make a run, maybe they don't. Either way, I think that this year is extremely important. Also, phenomenal year for Mike Zimmer, where he was stuck in his ways. This is my way, this is my way, this is my way. You can see the first 6 weeks of the season wasn't really getting through to a lot of the young guys. And eventually, at the bye week, all right, so Zim has 3 years left on his deal. Do the Vikings just buy that out and move on? I mean, if the Vikings had been the remaining 10 games of the season like they were the first 6, I could see it. I could. And then maybe people will get their wish. Everyone is fired. Cousins is cut. Spielman is fired. Kubiak is gone too. What's wrong with Kubiak? As well as, Zimmer gone as well. Start over. Salt of the earth. Go full Browns every 2 years. Hire a new GM. Hire a new head coach. Get yourself a new quarterback. And then it's a vicious circle, right? So I understand people frustrated. Why you want to go 8-8? You don't want to go 8-8. You want to go 10-6. You want to go 12-4. You want to make the dance. You want to make some noise. And guess what? if and when the Vikings do make the playoffs, this is a team that no one wants, especially if that defense gets its act together. Dalvin Cook playing at an MVP adjacent type level. So I think the Vikings this year, win, lose, or draw, are finding out who they are, and that's going to be huge for 2021. They get a couple more pieces. They get defensive interior. They get some help in the secondary. Maybe they have to pick up a replacement safety. Maybe they pick up a third receiving option that's legitimate. The final piece of the offensive line. Maybe they get their quarterback of the future, the heir apparent, in the mid-rounds, Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati, one time. Right, and then going forward, all of that positive momentum, all that JoJo, all that good juju is going in the right direction. Because guess what? Teams don't go from 2-14 to winning the Super Bowl. They usually go 2-14. Maybe they have a nice turnaround, 6-10. They're learning how to play together. They're learning how to win together. Young team is buying into the coach's message. Now, generally, it's a new coach, but with Zimmer, it's a new roster. So they're basically figuring him out for the first time as they learn to grow and win in his style of play. And then, guess what? 6-10 team, maybe they go 10-6. Maybe they go 9-7, sneak into the playoffs. Woo! They win a playoff game, sure. And then the year after that, then they go 12-4. Then maybe they get in the dance. Maybe they win the Super Bowl. Maybe they do that. It is incremental. It isn't always peaks and valleys. So there's a lot of positives to take out of the season. The Vikings are doing all this without Pierce, are doing all this without Danielle Hunter, and they're the cliche Super Bowl window. Is the Super Bowl window open or closed? Well, good teams always just leave it open ajar. They don't slam it just to try and reopen it, because guess what? That takes a lot of force. So it's frustrating, man. It's been great to be 5-5, but it is what it is. Get 2 wins, Panthers, Jaguars, and then move to 6-6, go to the Bucs at week 14. It is 1 week playoff. If you lose, you're out. The rest of the way, if you lose, you are indeed out. But your thoughts, 2020 being a building season, let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work, post some in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.